Hi guys, the Metal Maniac back again, and in this video, I'm going to be listing off my top 10 favorite modern metal albums. Yeah, I don't really like modern music or modern music as a whole that much, but once in a while, in terms of metal related stuff, once in a while I do come across metal albums that I do actually really enjoy in terms of the modern stuff. But yeah. So, yeah, this is my top 10 favorite modern metal albums. So, let's begin. Alright, number 10. Number 10 is Brave New World by Iron Maiden. Now, for whatever reason, I keep going back and forth whether I think this is their best modern album or The Book of Souls. I think both albums are amazing for the most part. But, like I said, I do flip-flop between liking Book of Souls better and Brave New World better. But at this moment in time, I like Brave New World better. It just has so many great songs on it. The Wicker Man, which there is a different version of that floating around out there. It was a radio single that had an added chorus, which for some reason they removed from the album version. But yeah, both versions of that song are really, really good. But yeah, it has The Wicker Man, which is a great song. Ghost of the Navigator, another great one. Blood Brothers, which is one of my all-time favorite Iron Maiden songs. Dream of Mirrors, which kind of goes on for too long, but it's still a great song. The Nomad, and Out of the Silent Planet, which is an extremely underrated song. But yeah, great album to start the 2000s with. Yes, also, this is their reunion album. And what a great reunion album. I think this is a better reunion album than Angel of Retribution by Judas Priest. I think that album is just okay, but this album is really, really, really good. But yeah, it's at my number 10. Alright, number 9. Number 9 is Northern Chaos Gods by Immortal. Yeah, I absolutely love this album. This is one of the best black metal albums I've ever heard. Also, it's one of those albums where it feels epic and grand scale without being in your face about it, without being too, in your face and flashy. Kind of like how, a couple Iron Maiden albums are, and I don't like that, what I'm talking about, Power Slave and, to a lesser extent, and Somewhere in Time to a greater extent. Those albums are epic and, epic grand scale at times, but it's too much in your face about it. This one, it's epic. This kind of album, it's epic and grand scale, but, a little bit more subtle about it. They aren't trying to, say, hey, look at us, we're epic and grand scale. They're just like, we're epic and grand scale, but, whatever. This is just music. But yeah, I love it. Every single song is great. I'd have to say my favorite song is Where Mountains Rise. Probably one of the most epic and atmospheric songs on the entire album. The entire album's that way, but I'd say this song in particular. But yeah, I absolutely love this album. And it's at my number 9 spot. Alright. Number 8. Now we're getting into some vinyl. Number 8 is Black Mass 30 by Archgoat. Still haven't been able to get any more Archgoat albums yet. I'm still working on it. But yeah, this is a great album. Sort of a anniversary album. When did this get released? I think this was 2017, but I'm not entirely sure. It may have been 2018. Let me check really quick. Does it say? No, it doesn't. It doesn't say what year this was released. But I believe it was either 2017 or 18. I might be wrong about that, but I think it's around that time that this is released. It's sort of a mega live album. Hold on, I have to get this stupid thing back in the sleeve. Oh, almost. Oh, that's why it's not going in. I didn't push the pamphlet in all the way. There we go. But yeah, this is sort of a mega live album because it doesn't have just like one live show recorded. It has four. I'm sorry, four. There we go. But yeah, it's a really good live album. Now this band isn't full-on black metal; they're actually black and death metal. But you know what? That doesn't matter because it's such a good band. Their musical style is definitely more on the black metal side, especially, you know, with the riffs and everything, and even the lyrical content. But the thing that does stand out as more death metal oriented is definitely the vocals. The vocals are pretty much Chris Barnes style vocals, but done way better. But yeah, just some really great live recordings on here. The first one, 1989, the second one, 2004, the third one, 2009, and the fourth one, 2015. But yeah, an amazing live album. And it's at my number 8 spot. Alright, number 7. Let me get this out really quick. Number 7 is Nightmare Logic by Power Trip. Yeah, I wasn't too impressed with their first album. Their first album was really kind of sloppy and all over the place and just not that good. Whereas this album, they definitely stepped up their game. The production is perfect. It's in a perfect in-between. The album, the production on is raw and primal without being too, incohesive with the production, because there are some really raw production style albums out there that is so raw to the point where there's no cohesion with the production and it's just all over the place and just a mess. Whereas this one, it's more of a tamed raw rather than a messy raw, which I don't like messy raw, like something like their first album or Pantera, Cowboys from Hell. It's kind of a messy raw. But yeah, I absolutely love it. The vocals are great. The instrumentation's great. Some of the best thrash metal riffs you'll ever hear. Just all in all, a good album. Yeah, there's really only one song that's not that memorable, and that's Firing Squad. But everything else is great. I absolutely love it. But yeah. Alright. Number 6. Number 6 is The Door to Doom by Candlemass. Yeah, I love every single song on this album. This is an absolute masterpiece. I still haven't gotten around to getting any of their other albums yet. But yeah, this is a great album. The vocalist is amazing. I love how he just delivers every single line of lyric. Yeah, and also this album has one of the best ballads of any metal album, Bridge of the Blind. And I've said in the past I don't really like ballads that much, but I do find some once in a while that are very, very good, Bridge of the Blind is one of them. Alongside others like Sleeping in the Flames, or Sleeping in the Fire by Wasp, or Strange World by Iron Maiden. But yeah, just a great album. As for, I'd say my favorite song, it's kind of hard, but I guess I'd have to say Death's Wheel, or Splendor Demon Majesty, one of the two. But yeah, just a really great modern era doom metal album, and I absolutely love it. Alright. Number 5. Number 5 is Evil Sound Screamers by Acid Witch. Yeah, I'm not a fan of their first two albums. Sure, they're more death metal kind of albums than this, which would be fine, except for two things. One, the songs aren't memorable whatsoever, and secondly, on the other two albums, the death metal vocals are some of the most generic and just blah death metal vocals you'll ever hear. Yeah, they're just not good. But here they actually switch things up on this album. They get rid of the, generic sounding death metal vocals in favor of some more raspy, snake-like or witch-like kind of hiss type vocals, just has a really bit of a hissy rasp to it. But yeah, great vocals, and I love the musical style in here. Sure, you have a little bit of the heaviness at times, more like almost like a death metal heavy sound, but at the same time, thrown into that mix is some like a little bit of thrash-ish kind of sound, a little bit of, classic heavy metal style as well. Just a really good mix of different musical styles, and I love the vocals. The songs, for the most part, are really, really good. I'd say my top three are Mr. Beastle, I Hate Halloween, and Hard Rock Halloween. Just a very, very good album, with only, maybe a couple weaknesses here and there. But, like I said, very good album for the most part, and it's at my number, 5 spot, I think? Yes, it's my number 5 spot. Alright. Number 4. Number 4 is, hold on, I have to, the title of this album is so long that I have to reread it every time because I forget. Bloodshed Across the Empyrean Altar Beyond the Celestial Zenith. Yeah, this is a great album. By the band Inquisition, great American black metal band. Like I said, their song titles tend to be extremely elaborate and long, to the point where, you have to look back and try to remember it just by reading it again. I don't know. They have this tendency to name their albums some really long names, but that's not annoying. That's actually kind of unique, and I like it. This is really the only album I've listened to so far, but it's really, really good. Yeah, I mean, most of the tracks on here are amazing. If I had to pick my favorite, I guess I would say Power from the Center of the Cosmic Black Spiral. Just a very good atmospheric song with a very chugging, crushing, catchy guitar riff thrown near the end of the song, and the vocals are great as well. Yeah, just a really, really amazing American black metal album. I absolutely love it. But yeah, that's at my number 4 spot. Alright, number 3. Number 3 is Death Revenge by Exhumed. Yeah, really, when I first listened to this, I was not expecting it to be a concept album. Yeah, a death metal concept album. You don't really hear, about death metal concept albums that much, if not at all. I don't know how common it is, but I don't think it's that common for death metal to have a death metal concept album. But yeah, I absolutely love it, and I love how it's based off of true events that happened, like, the 1800s over in Scotland, about grave robbing and stuff, and I guess selling bodies selling bodies off, I guess, the black market, to give to some science facilities, as like test cadavers or something. But yeah, a very, very good album. I love how in terms of musicality, it blends old school death metal with a little bit of old school heavy metal. And I love the melodic elements in here. I love how it tries. It not only tells the story of what's going on, but the musicality in certain parts of it sound like a horror movie soundtrack, which is really, really cool. Yeah, I absolutely love it from start to finish. But if I had to pick my favorite song, I'd say not even a song. I'd say my favorite track on here is the instrumental. The Anatomy Act of 1832. I don't understand it, because there's a lot of people that praise this album, but sort of bash the instrumental, saying it's way too long, and it would be also better if it was, if it had lyrics to it. It's like, no, it's fine. I love the instrumental. The length is not, it's not even that long compared to some instrumentals out there, but I absolutely love it. Again, I love the album from start to finish. I don't think there's really any bad things to say about this album. Also, I love, I guess in keeping with the style of, horror movie-esque type things, there's a quote on the back. It says, when life is cheap, death is a hell of a way to make a living. But yeah, also, if you get the vinyl version, which I still need to get, you get a really gigantic poster of the cover art, and the quote that's on the back here is actually on the top of the poster. But yeah, really, really good death metal concept album. It's at my number 3 spot. Alright, number 2. Number 2 is Firepower by Judas Priest. Yeah, I mean, even though I absolutely love the Book of Souls by Iron Maiden, this just, kicks it into oblivion in terms of the superior modern metal album in terms of Judas Priest or Iron Maiden. Iron Maiden, yeah, like I said, Iron Maiden's Book of Souls, great album for the most part, but this one ups it in every single aspect. More memorable songs. I mean, yeah, more memorable songs in terms of having even more songs that are good. The sort of like leveling of like more memorable songs compared to songs that aren't that good. I think Book of Souls, even though it was good for the most part, had a couple really forgettable songs. Whereas this has very few forgettable songs. I think there's only like 2 or 3 forgettable songs. Yeah, I absolutely love this album. This is actually technically the album that got me into Judas Priest. Sure, I heard a song here or there before. I think the very first Judas Priest song I ever heard was Painkiller, but at the time I was just freshly getting into metal and didn't really like the vocals of that song. It wasn't until I listened to this album. That I got into Judas Priest. Yeah, I think it's a great album. The production's very evenly balanced. It's not too, manufactured sounding or anything. It's really, really good. My favorite song, sort of changes from time to time. But I guess if I had to pick one right here and now, I'd say, probably Traitors Gate. But yeah, I absolutely love this album. It has a lot in common with not just Painkiller, not just Defenders of the Faith at times, but also has a somewhat in common with the musicality off of Jugulator, to be honest. Yeah, just all in all, a really, really good album. Definitely, a step in the right direction for Judas Priest, considering that the last couple albums were really forgettable. But yeah, I absolutely love it. It's at my number 2 spot. Alright, number 1. Number 1 is the Death Album 3 by Death Clock. Yeah, one of the albums that, got me into metal. I still really, really like it. Great melodic death metal album. Their first album, really, really good for the most part, but the vocals just, they weren't bad, but, they needed some work. They needed some working out. They weren't great. They were like some sort of growl whispers, but the vocals, from the second album to this album, the vocals got a lot better. Their second album, for the most part, is pretty good, although there's a lot of songs on it that are just kind of meh, but again, some really great songs. In terms of their best album, this is definitely their best. Yeah, I mean, from start to finish, this album's great. Even if the song Sky Hunter is kind of weak, it's still very enjoyable. I'd have to say that my favorite song on here, it's a tie. It's a tie between The Hammer and Rejoin. But yeah, very, very good modern metal album and just an amazing melodic death metal album. And it's at my number 1 spot. Alright, so that about does it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you all next time.